I'm so excited to be here to recognize Imagination Stage. I am not too far removed, but not so closely removed from being a BAPA kid and participating in many of the Bethesda Academy of Performing Arts, the predecessor to what is now Imagination Stage at White Flint Mall. And was able to do performing arts as a young person, starting in many ways at BAPA, which really taught me so many things, allowed me to participate in so many different activities, enriched so much of my childhood, and got to perform with some really talented people. Of course, they went on to do things in the performing arts professionally, and what do you do if you lack talent but have a decent amount of stage presence? I guess you run for office. So here I am on the county council, the talentless person who got to do Bethesda Academy for Performing Arts, got to see it blossom into what is now Imagination Stage, one of the preeminent children's performing arts programs and performing arts centers in the entire country, much less the region, and just really grateful and honored to be joined here by such an amazing group. A combination of staff members and board members and advocates for this organization. And I'd be remiss if I didn't note that Bonnie Fogel couldn't make it here. She's out of town, unfortunately, but we are lifting her up and providing our deepest gratitudes for her, for the vision that she had as a mom in Montgomery County, wanting to provide world-class arts programming for her children and for their friends and their peers, which has now ultimately led to thousands and thousands of our young people in Montgomery County being able to access this incredible gem, which has really expanded its programs, focused on equity and inclusion, really brought in a variety of partners, and is really changing the way in which children's theater and performing arts is taught and is performed in our region and throughout our country. So I'm just really excited. We have a couple very special guests. We have the relatively new, although not so new, managing director, Jason Najum, who I'll call up first, followed by Robbie Brewer, the board president emeritus, who I think serves in that capacity and in that role in just about every major Montgomery County institution that we have. So why don't we start with Jason?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Vice President, Vice Chair Friedson, and our proud council member, President Glass, and the rest of the county council, and to all of you today. We're so happy to be here. I am surrounded, as Andrew said, with members of the staff, past and present, who are really just so grateful for this chance to be recognized. As Andrew said, Imagination Stage was founded by the Titan, I would call her, Bonnie Fogel, in 1979 as the Bethesda Academy of Performing Arts, with just a handful of children in a single room. In the 4 decades since, we have become a nationally recognized theater arts center. Throughout our history, we have touched the lives of more than 1.5 million children, both in Montgomery County and across the region. Since the launch of our first programs, the organization has undergone multiple evolutions that have dramatically increased our institution's capacity to affect the lives of children and families. The first evolution took place when we opened our doors to people with disabilities. This vision became our Arts Access program, which launched in 1988. Now, building on the success of this first project, the Deaf Access program debuted the following year to meet the needs of the hard of hearing community. The second evolutionary phase began in 1992, when we created a professional theater season to give children the opportunity to see live productions that were artistically ambitious and tailored to them. We approached the management of the White Flint Shopping Mall Center in Rockville, may it rest in peace, to set up shop in a storefront there. And over the next decade, our audience grew in that location to 20,000 attendees per year. The third evolution, what we're celebrating here today, saw our transition to a new name, Imagination Stage, and to our move to our 40,000 square foot home on Auburn Avenue. This enterprise was an enormous risk for us, for the county at the time, and the state that invested in this transition. And we basically tripled in size overnight. More recently, our fourth evolutionary stage has been driven by our Theater for Change initiative, which is comprised of 3 programs that use theater productions and educational workshops to explore complex social justice issues to help build our new generation of compassionate, collaborative youths who are capable of changing the world. Steadfast across all of these evolutions has been our core distinguishing purpose: positive youth development. And our work has been driven by our belief that exposure and participation in the performing arts intrinsically nourishes a child's creative spirit, inspires their embrace of the complexity and diversity of their world, and helps them overcome their challenges with hope, courage, and above all, creativity. That phrase right there, that's why I come to work every day. That's why we all come to work every day. And it really makes, gives a lot of clarity to what we do. Now today, while we continue to expand on that Theater for Change initiative, we've reached a new evolutionary stage, one created by COVID-19. While in many ways daily life seems to appear largely normal, the disruption and uncertainty caused by the ongoing / post-pandemic have created or exacerbated obstacles faced by today's young people, such as learning loss and concerns regarding emotional health. As we always have, Imagination Stage is recalibrating our scope of work to address the needs of now for our region's youth and community partners. So on October 21st, 2023, we will be celebrating all of our free programs for youth and their families, which now comprises about 30% of our work in our inaugural Arts for All Festival at our home on Auburn Avenue. Our goal is that by our 50th anniversary in 2029, at least 50% of our students will not be paying to participate, and this event is a kickoff to that effort. Lastly, I want to thank again Council Friedson for arranging for this today, to members of his team, Angie McCarthy in the room and Angela Gear, for your help in making it happen, to the thousands of staff members who have made our work happen, to the hundreds of board members who have guided us, and to the millions of children who have inspired our work each time they have passed through the front doors of our building. Thank you. And with that, I'd love to introduce Board President Emeritus Robbie Brewer, who was the presiding president when we moved into our building 20 years ago. Robbie?
Good morning, everyone. I've been here many times, but never to have my back to the council. So I'd like to say good morning to the council members I've known for many years, and I'm sorry for turning my back to you. I'll be brief. I'm Robbie Brewer. In my day job still, I'm a lawyer at Lorch, Early & Brewer in Bethesda, and that's how many of the council members know me. I've had a shadow career, however, working with many of the county's finest nonprofits and arts organizations, and it's been great. One of those is Imagination Stage. I was on the board from 1996 to 2006 and board chair from 2000 to 2003 when this building was built. I'm going to give you just a brief snippet of history about why we're celebrating 20 years of living in a parking garage. The Bethesda Parking Lot District, which manages parking in downtown Bethesda, used to have 2 surface parking lots in Woodmont Triangle between Rugby and Auburn Avenue. Parking demand increased, and DOT said we need a parking garage. But District 1 Council member Andrew Friedson's predecessor a while back said, you know, let's not just have a parking lot, let's have a mixed-use project, and sent out an RFP to see what kind of organization could live in the parking garage as a user and could enliven the area. So Imagination Stage submitted an application for that RFP in the mid-1990s, and lo and behold, it won. However, when the price was estimated at $8 million, people didn't know where that money was going to come from. At the time, Imagination Stage had a budget of $850,000, and it had 2 very compromised spaces, some old classrooms at adjoining Walt Whitman High School and an old elementary school, which is now demolished, and also an old storefront in White Flint Mall, also now demolished, which was their performing theater. The development team at the time was some folks that Jason has mentioned: Bonnie Fogel, a longtime artistic director Janet Stanford, a very active real estate-oriented board member, Gene Smith, yours truly, and a few others. When Imagination Stage was advised that there was no way it could raise the $8 million, knowing Bonnie Fogel, as many of you do, she proceeded anyway. She had confidence that we would do it, and by the time construction was almost done, the price had risen to $13 million. So how did it all happen? Well, funding came from many sources, the federal government, the state government, the county government, and many private donors, individuals, companies, foundations. We had lots of help. Major donors on the private side were the Lerner family, whose gift named our stage, and from Carol Trawick, whose gift named our building. But on the state and local side, we had great help from then representatives and state senators Chris Van Hollen and Peter Franchot, and County Executive Doug Duncan, and later County Executive Ike Leggett, with many others. We also had $4 million in bond financing through M&T Bank, without which it would never have been built. So in May of 2003, the building opened, and as Jason said, Imagination Stage tripled its space. It also tripled its budget, and then some. It became a budget of about $4 million without too much additional time elapsing. And in conclusion, I'd like to say that Imagination Stage's presence in the northern end of the Woodmont Triangle in downtown Bethesda has been an anchor for the Bethesda Arts and Entertainment District since that time. It's been a mainstay of our arts organizations, not just in the county, but in downtown Bethesda. It fulfilled Betty Ann Cronke's desire to have a mixed-use project. Most of these folks here go to work every day on that mixed-use project, and they can tell you what a great place it is to work. It was a magic moment for me serving on the board and board chair at the time a brand new building was built. It was quite an exciting time for me. It's sort of what I did in my day job, but then I was getting to do it elsewhere. So I would like to conclude by saying that the arts experience is something that we all sometimes take for granted, but it's imperative. And the mission that Imagination Stage has had for so many years, serving a broad spectrum of patrons and kids, including those who are disabled, has been a great benefit to our region and our county, and it's got a great future still to come. So thank you.
Thank you, Robbie and Jason. Thank you to everybody for being here. Also want to acknowledge Bethesda Urban Partnership. Jeff is here with us as well, who's played such a big role in what you heard from Robbie. And you can see Imagination Stage isn't just inspiring young people to think creatively and change the way that we do and imagine things. It's proving it every day, sitting in a parking lot and in a parking garage with this world-class theater. And one of my favorite memories is walking up with my nieces and nephews, and they asked me if we were watching the show in the garage. And I didn't know how to answer that because I said kind of, actually. But it really is amazing to see how creatively this organization and this county with state partners and regional partners have been able to create this amazing arts institution. So I'm going to read the proclamation. The County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland proclamation. Whereas Imagination Stage was founded in 1979 and has grown to become the region's leading professional theater and arts education center for children and youth, their families, schools, and other child service partners. It opened the doors of its 42,000 square foot state-of-the-art headquarters on Auburn Avenue in downtown Bethesda in May 2003, thanks to a public-private partnership that provided a community resource and anchor at the north end of Woodmont Triangle in Bethesda's Arts and Entertainment District. And whereas Imagination Stage programs have impacted over 1.5 million young people during the last 20 years, with Helen Hayes award-winning professional theater productions, international commissions and exchanges, innovative performing arts classes, student shows and camps, accessible and inclusive opportunities for the deaf community and young people with cognitive and physical differences, school residencies and professional development for teachers, as well as free offerings for underserved populations, including Title I schools, migrant youth, and young people in the juvenile justice system. And whereas Imagination Stage envisions a future where theater experiences are a fundamental aspect of all children's lives, nourishing their creative spirit, inspiring them to embrace the complexity and diversity of their world, and helping them overcome their challenges with hope, courage, and above all, creativity. And whereas arts participation at all ages, but especially in children and youth, represents an essential ingredient for positive youth development by promoting empathy and understanding across racial and socioeconomic divides, facilitating learning, building awareness, increasing self-esteem, spurring critical thinking, and providing safe outlets for emotion and risk-taking as growing brains maximize their potential for imagination and innovation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland, hereby salutes Imagination Stage for 20 years in its new headquarters that's not so new anymore in downtown Bethesda, and nearly 44 years serving Montgomery County and greater Washington community. And be it further resolved that the County Council recognizes that Imagination Stage serves a vital community resource for providing innovative, relevant, accessible, and inclusive theater and performing arts education programs to the people, and especially to the young people of Montgomery County and beyond. Presented on this 9th day of May in the year 2023 by Council President Glass and myself, Andrew Friedson, the proud council member that gets to represent Imagination Stage. Congratulations.